Redundancies are at a record level as the coronavirus pandemic takes a further toll. Let's try and bring you some of the details on all of this. The unemployment rate for the 3 months to September up 4.8%. Now, that's an increase of 0.7% from the previous quarter, up 0.3% from the rate in August. There were a record number of redundancies between July and September, 314,000 of them. Now, that's up by a record 181,000 on the previous quarter. Let's bring in our business correspondent, Paul Kelso, who can provide some context to all of this. I mean, at first glance, Paul, these numbers look pretty grim.
They do, Neil, and it's that increase in the headline unemployment rate, which stands at 4.8%, the highest since 2006. That increase of 0.3% month on month. That's the second month in a row that unemployment has increased by 1/3%, and it's driven by that rising tide of redundancies. The figure you went through there, 314,000 redundancies in the quarter to September, up 181,000. Now, all of this, the context of this and the context atlas that would have been watched very closely in the Treasury was these figures are for July through to September. This is the period when companies making these decisions about who to keep and who to let go were facing the end of the furlough scheme. Very clearly signaled it will be ending at the end of October. Throughout this period, that was the assumption. We had some detail at the end of September. They would have had on the job support scheme replacing it. But many of these decisions will have been made with that furlough guillotine moment in mind. Of course, belatedly, after these figures, the Chancellor made the decision to extend furlough by a month, and then last week, rather hurriedly, right the way through until March. And we get a good sense of why, because if you look at the rising tide of unemployment, it was rising very, very steeply. Of course, now companies, it may be too late for some, but they do have the safety net of furlough running through to the spring. And of course, the subject you've been discussing all morning, the vaccine on the horizon, which may give companies a little more confidence about the future. And that may be good news for employees.